And we are live. Welcome to Pistons Jack Fan Reacts, where we'll get into this Orlando Magic game in just a moment. But I've got Kyle Metz joining me in just a moment. But if you want to come up, talk about tonight's game, please send me a DM now. We've got about an hour to an hour and 15 tonight we can go for. But jump in my DMs now. But yeah, as you can tell, I'm feeling a bit down. I can see you guys in the comments here saying prayers for Ivy. So we'll talk about that probably straight away. But the Pistons did win. They're now 15 and 18. I think they are still 9th or 10th in the East. But I'm going to bring up Kyle and we'll get to some comments as well. Kyle, brother, what's going on?
What up, Jack? It's great to get a win, but definitely a bummer.
I know. I'm trying. It's really hard to. Great to get a win. It looked like for a moment there, Magic might come back and steal it, or Pistons might not be able to recover from the injury. But first of all, I guess anything on the Ivy injury. I mean, obviously we're wishing the best for him, but yeah, I feel like we've got to address that first.
Yeah, I mean, it looked bad. Now it could all be very precautionary, right? I don't know, but I mean, when I saw Dern come over and take his jacket off and put it over his leg, I don't know why you'd do that if it wasn't something ugly looking, and so that's definitely a concern.
See, I can't. So I had, when the play happened, I don't know what I was doing. I must have been looking on Twitter. So I missed it live. And then as soon as I can't watch injuries. So I made my girlfriend watch the replay and tell me what happened. And she said basically the Magic player, who I believe was Cole Anthony, dived and Ivy's ankle kind of just bent right inwards. And she didn't say there was bone or anything, nothing sticking out. But I'm seeing some stuff in here about I was hoping for just this really, really, really highest grade sprain, which could still be season ending. But it sounds like it was more than that. So I'm hoping it's like you said, precautionary for everyone's sake. And it's not as bad as it kind of looked. But it's just, man, I just feel so fun. He's playing so well. This is his 5th game back. I had just tweeted out at halftime. He hit 15 of 24 threes since he returned. He was 4 of 4 tonight, 5 of 6 in the third. Man.
Yeah, this really has, with basically losing last year with Monty and then now this, we don't know what it is. So, we don't want to speculate too much, but it looked bad, right? So he's definitely not. He'll be out for a little bit. He was improving. He was doing the things. His shot looked real. Now, which is great. If it is an ankle thing or an ACL, whatever, if it does affect his explosiveness somehow, the fact that he has a real jump shot developing is a good thing for him in the long run. So, but yeah, it's just a bummer because we're not going to get to see Cade and Ivy play together and continue to see what that looks like. Or at least it's going to be much less time now. It also, I don't know which way it's going to go. We're going to have to see what happens. I think this homestand will have a big indicator on these next 7 games or whatever it is, or 6 games, on what the Pistons do as a result of it. If Ivy's out for a long period of time, and we'll get to this at some point, I'm sure, but what do they do, right? Does this push them more to a move to help Cade and get more help because they're one of their best offensive players is now potentially out for a long period of time, or does it solidify we'll just cruise it out, gives us a built-in excuse to not make a move and see what happens. So I'm fascinated to see what happens with that. It's obviously too early to get there right now, but yeah, those are all things that it's just a bummer, man, because Ivy is such a good dude and tries really hard, and in a lot of ways is a heart and soul of the team, just in a different way than Stu is. But I think he's really, one of the guys. So it's a bummer.
Yeah, I agree. And we might touch on that stuff a bit later after the game. But yeah, it just sucks because he's playing so well. But like you kind of outlined there, it does feel like he plays a huge role in kind of the culture and just some form of heart and soul. He's seems like off the court he's really like, I don't know if mild-mannered's the right way, but just really polite. But on the court, he's like a psycho, and like he just works so hard, and it's just like, But yeah, I don't want to make this too doom and gloom, but it's just hard to come on here and be like, Pistons are 15 and 18, and just kind of be getting really excited and talking about all the stuff that comes with that without addressing that off the top. But as everyone in the comments has said, like, prayers for Jaden Ivey. He will bounce back. Like you said, I don't even want to speculate too much, but he will definitely bounce back. And, you know, I hope they will take all the precautions with him, and hopefully he's back ASAP, and knocking down threes and doing what he does best. So moving on from Jaden Ivey, I might just get an overall vibe check, Carl, because I think we spoke last game after the Nuggets game. So I've just been all over the place the past week. I've been in like 3 different locations. So that's why I just do it a bit delayed. So I'm just losing track of time and everything. But Pistons now are 15 and 18. They're 4-1 in their past 5. I think, are they 6 and? I think they're 6 and 8 in their past 8 games. So things are trending in the right way. What did you see from tonight's game? I guess some of the positives.
Yeah, I think the shooting was going well, especially in the first half. Their offense looked really good. They regressed a little bit in the third quarter, which is expected when you're going to shoot near 70%. From 3 or the field or whatever it was. It was ridiculous. And so they definitely came back a little bit to the mean. And so the fact that they had a lead, held the lead the whole time, they were able to answer every run from Orlando and get a bucket from somebody stepped up. And it wasn't from the usual characters. You know, Tobias and THJ down the stretch were consistent. And Tobias had a decent number of corner threes, and that's what they paid him to do, right? Like on his career, he's like 40+% from the corner 3, catch and shoot. So like that's what we expect from Tobias, and when he does that, it opens up the offense. You see that. I think. I mean, obviously they held him to under 100 points. Now, granted, they were missing 85% of their offense, so it's too hard. It's hard to get too excited about that, but. I mean, they won, and they found a way to win, and that's the more they can continue to do that. That's gonna stack. It's gonna continue to add to build confidence and help them see more situations and how to close out games, and they're gonna need that. So,
yeah, I love this shout out for Tobias and THJ in particular, because I think THJ might have had 9 points in the last quarter, and Tobias, I felt like, hit a couple of key buckets because it just kept lingering around like 3-5 points, and then Tobias was the one who got a couple of buckets, and it was back out to 9, and you could start to feel a little bit more comfortable about them getting the win. So those two definitely showed up because let's be honest, that the Ivy injury really seemed to, like, we saw Asar like crying on the sideline. JB Bickerstaff looked like he was like welling up, and even I just watched his post-game press conference. He was close to tears again. So that's when you really need your vets to step up, because the young guys appeared a bit shaken. And so that was huge from them to help get this win, because I still think like Pistons should have definitely won this game tonight when you look at the talent and the lineups. But the Magic still just they're at this point in, well, obviously not the rebuild anymore, but like they have just bought in so much of their culture that they will just keep trying. Like guys like Caleb Houston hitting threes, like I know he can shoot, but they're just like tap loose balls, like they're everywhere. Jalen Suggs, like, so it's still like a solid win, even if that I think it was the third quarter was where it was 18 points and all of a sudden it was 5. So I'll take any win still. Like we're at the point of the rebuild where, like you said, what's he saying? Chew the meat and spit out the bones.
Yep.
So, it was a bit of a frustration. It's a downer of a game, but a win's a win. I want to ask you about Jalen Duren. He was feasting off Cade Cunningham lobs tonight. Career high 8 dunks. Finished with 18 and 12, maybe. One of his better games, I thought. I know he's JD fan, but I got to bring him up.
Yeah, no, JD looked good. He was engaged. I mean, but that's kind of his MO, right? When he's getting lobs, especially early when he's involved, he stays engaged. Cade does a good job of trying to keep it that way. And lucky for him, Bitadze just couldn't, like, they had him, there wasn't many guys that could guard him, especially when Bitadze was on him. They were eating him alive in the pick and roll. And a lot of it too was the transition plays, and that's the thing, guys. And I think we've it's an underrated part of what we've been talking about the last couple of years, or it doesn't get mentioned much, is the defense has been so bad that they don't get easy offensive looks. But now when you have guys getting those steals, you're getting tips, you're getting turnovers, you're getting defensive stops, you're actually, it's fast break and it's not coming out of set plays. You're not having to rely on your half court offense all the time. It's a lot easier to score. And we have guys who can run the floor, who can get up and are, looking for the lobs. And so you have that vertical gravity that you can play with. So I think that's been a understated part of the offensive struggles for the last few years. Everyone clamors for spacing, and yes, that is been super helpful. But man, getting easy offense off the transition, that was really where they were feasting in the first half too, was just easy shots.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I just had Alan. I saw your DM on Instagram. We'll get you up next after Kyle. But yeah, the transition stuff really sticks out to me, and like that's why I wouldn't mind. I'm not really going to push this point too much, but that's one of my reasons for kind of maybe getting a Asar more in the starting lineup. Although he kind of struggled tonight, like just him in transition is an automatic 2 points and takes so much pressure off, like you said, like having to just watch Cade create in the half court. And they've kind of got more of those defensive playmakers now, and they're just bought in more on that end. Because, up until that third quarter, the pace they were playing at, they're knocking down shots. Like, it was really fun to watch. I don't know, Kyle. I'm a bit of a mess after this game. I'm going to let you steer the ship. Any other, like, I kind of feel like Cade, like, the Ivy thing's just really rattled me, man.
Cade was okay tonight. I mean, guys, they had 18 or how many? I don't know how many turnovers they ended up with. That was really the reason why Atlanta was even in this game. Yeah. And Orlando's good defense, and they do force a lot of turnovers generally, I think. I don't have the stats on that, but from when I remember, they do cause a lot. They're long typically and do cause a lot of tip balls and things like that. But yeah, tonight was one of those nights that there's just a lot of turnovers. So Orlando hung around longer than they should have. And I'm really bummed once again we didn't get to see more Bobby Clinton. I was hoping we'd get, 20, 23-point lead. We'd get, Bobby in or something. I'm waiting. That's really what I want to see at this point.
I know the one game he could have played against the Nuggets, he was with the Crews.
Exactly.
But you're right about, I don't know how I didn't bring up the turnovers. I think they had 11 in the third quarter, 23 for the game. So they definitely lose this game earlier in the season, I feel like. So it's a negative, but also a positive they're able to fight through that. You mentioned the shooting, 52% from the field, 41% from three. So things are gelling. I think like that road, I do tend to still believe like that road trip. I know they're now down Jaden Ivey for however long, but I do think that road trip's unlocked maybe a new level to this team for this season. Like, not saying playoffs, but barring injury or Trajan just pulling out, like just trading away players to tank, like I think they're going to make the play-in. Like, I really feel that. Like, I know that might not be what everyone wants, but based off what you've seen, do you think that's like, I think they could finish 9th.
Yeah, they're sitting in the 9 seed right now because Bulls lost today, so they've jumped the Bulls tonight. They're in the 9 seed. It's a long way to go, but the Bulls, like I said before, the Bulls don't want to be there. Their pick is top 10 protected. Like they're gonna do what they can. Now they may not. The Bulls don't typically do that, and their owner also owns the White Sox, and they're terrible, so he may not be inclined to have another crappy product on the floor. I don't know, but especially with, I mean, the Magic still have a lead, but if those guys stay out for a really long time, like you can see the injuries are starting to pile up for them. So yeah, I think the Pistons have a chance, and more likely than not will make the play-in. And I've said from the beginning of the year, this is Trajan's ideal scenario. Pistons are in the play-in but lose in the play-in, so they don't actually make the playoffs. So they get playoff experience or something like it, and they get to keep their pick. and they have a chance to move up in the lottery. And we've seen Memphis get rewarded with this. We've seen Pelicans get rewarded with this. And so hopefully, it ends up working out where they play competitive basketball and they still get a top 4 pick. Like that would be the ideal scenario. So I think that's what they're aiming for. So I think they're put themselves in a position to do that. With Ivy going out, that does complicate it. And that's why I'm interested to see what happens. I'm inclined to think that it would be beneficial to go out and get Cade some more help, especially if it's like the Levine deal should definitely be back on it. Like we need to that should be a conversation, right? They should be calling the Bulls back and saying, hey, where do you really want to finish in the in the play-in? Like, can we make a deal work here? And something like that, I think would be interesting to at least revisit because I think they might need more help. Call BI, let's figure out is that something that can work just to kick the tires. And I don't mean trading a bunch of assets. And we've talked about this. Go back and watch our videos from a couple weeks ago. This is giving up end of the bench guys and maybe a second round pick for a guy who can be a dynamic scorer next to Cade when healthy. And even when Ivy's back, having 2 of them on the court at all times is going to be really beneficial. But regardless of how you feel about those things, I think Ivy's injury, depending on how long he's out, could complicate their push for the play-in. So it's just a matter of what this regime wants to do. And then the other thing I'll say with that is I'm curious to see what they do with the starting lineup. I wonder if this is the impetus now to move Beasley to the 2 starting and bring Asar in, move THJ to the bench. So you have Cade, Beasley, Asar, Tobias, and Duren. That's a pretty good balanced team. You get a little more perimeter defense than you currently have with Asar there, which might help Duren's defense. So he's not having to cover for everyone. So I think that would be the best way I would see. But then I still think they need to go get a real backup point guard. At this point, Sasser's the backup point guard, and I'm not sure that's his best position. So there's something that needs to be done if Ivy's going to be out for the next month, if not longer, right? And so
I absolutely agree, and because I don't want to we don't want to speculate and say his season's done, but I feel even in the short, even if he's out for 2 weeks and it's it's not it's nowhere near as bad as we thought. They're going to be missing their second best scorer. No matter how he goes about getting those points, he was giving on the season and definitely recently you an efficient 18 to 20 points per game. Ball handling, yes, he has some turnovers, but that is your second guy just gone like that. And the lack of guard depth was a huge concern before this. So I think it's going to be really interesting because I think you kind of have to do something or else it's just going to be Cade. I'll be starting to get worried about Cade's usage and just him wearing down from having to literally handle the ball every time or be Marcus Sasser. But who's in behind Sasser? Wendell Moore? Or else it's just going to be.
He's been the one that's Wendell Moore's been the one that's been getting those minutes. I think, and able Asar after tonight's passing, maybe Asar shouldn't be in that. This is probably the worst passing night of his career. But you can see him getting some more on ball reps potentially. Maybe they put in Ron's hands more, and they kind of do a no point guard thing in the bench. I don't know. It'll be interesting what JB does. But and if I can just address some of the comments too, to be clear, this is not trading long-term assets to save this year. Going after Ingram or Levine, that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about trading. Even in a Levine deal, you don't have to trade Duren. You don't have to trade anybody but maybe Sasser. So depending on how high you are on him, right? We're talking expiring contracts and maybe a second round pick, of which they have a ton. Okay. And so that's just to address some of that. And someone who said he likes Cam Johnson, but Ingram's too injury prone. Go look at Cam Johnson's injury history. So,
but this goes back to, and I'm sorry, there's so many comments I can't find them. I try and stay at the top so I don't miss some, and then when I get a chance to go into them, so I would bring it up, Carl. But
you're good.
We did a full episode on this, which I still think is very relevant. Probably 2 weeks ago now. And Kyle is you don't need me to defend you, but you are very astute with your trades and would not be trading like real assets for these guys. But at the same time, like if you want a fringe all-star player, like you can't just give up nothing. Like you can't just give up a boatload of seconds and Marcus Sasa. Like you have to give something. That's part of the risk of making a trade like this. So it's why it's never. It's why I don't even try. That's why I get you to do all the trades for me, Carl, because I have no idea. Like I have some idea. Yeah.
Right. And to your point, Jack, I think typically you do have to give up something of value to get something of value. Yeah. And what we're talking about is there is a potential to buy low on these guys because of the market, and they will be more beneficial for the Pistons than they are on the teams that they're currently on. Right. And so there is an opportunity to trade a little bit of something or potentially kind of nothing other than salary to get guys that could be beneficial for you. And if they're not, right, if BI wants to walk, okay, sign him and trade him and get the assets right back, right? No one else can sign him without your help at that point. If LaVine is garbage, you only have 2 more years after this, and he's still going to be a 20-point per game guy. And if he's not, you weren't going to have that money anyway because of the cap situation. So, like, I think we love flexibility because Weaver sold us on making sure we have all this cap room moving forward. Like, starting in 26, 27, if we're a cap room team still, something has gone horribly wrong.
Yeah, it's a great
because that's when Ivy has to get paid. That's when Duran's extension hits. If you're re-signing Beasley, he's probably still on the books, right? You're not going to have cap room in 26, 27. So this is the summer. And we only have
these contracts like to make the trades as well. So
right, yeah.
But I agree. And I think as well, like the thing with like LaVine and Ingram have been brought up for like, feels like a year now. Or it's particularly LaVine as well. But I think why like I'm so fine and have been fine with it as well, but even just following obviously the Ivy injury tonight is I still think Ivy, Cade, and whether it's Ingram or LaVine works to an extent. Like, and you're not bringing in LaVine and that means Ivy's future's done with the Pistons or it's compromised. Like his role will be reduced in some capacity, like so will Cade's, but like it still works long term. And you know, I think, like you said, this just might speed up the process now because I just of the belief, like, you just can't, even if Trajan's like, you know, less ball handling now might lead to more losses, which I just don't think is his mindset. Like, you can't just roll K out there with no help as a ball handler. It's just going to lead to him, like, not like last year because of spacing, but it's just going to be bad. Like, I just don't think it's good for him and other players' development. So, yeah, right. It's going to be really, really interesting now to see what happens. Because how long to the trade deadline? About a month?
Yeah, February 6th, I think it is. So a little over a month. Yeah, and again, it doesn't have to be exactly LaVine. It doesn't have to be BI. Like, these are names that I think they need to kick the tires on and see, because there is no reporting right now is there's no market for them. Like, no one wants them, which means you can basically get them for cheap. Or the asking price is too high, and so they're not budging. Like, that's a possibility. Trajan was in New Orleans, so if he's worried about BI and his health, he knows it better than anybody, right? So if they don't make that move, I'm not sweating it. You know, it is what it is. And BI is going to be more expensive than LaVine on a longer deal because you're probably going to have to extend them. So anyone saying like LaVine is a panic move, but BI is great. Okay, sure, but the money is actually easier for LaVine to work. And so, yeah, we'll see, man. It's one of those things that I think they do need ball handling help somehow. And there's not free agents. We covered that too. So they're going to probably have to make a move. Otherwise, you're basically saying, yeah, we're fine with keeping our pick and just letting Cade be the guy and see where he can take us. And I just don't think that's fair to Cade. And I don't know if that's what's best after the momentum you've already started to build and they're starting to learn how to win games. You're starting to do this, like, to not capitalize on that now and continue to build that culture without sacrificing the future. Like, that is going to be a detriment long term. And I think that's gonna hurt you more than those second round picks you're not gonna have. Yeah. That's just how it is. In my opinion, at least.
No, I agree. Unfortunately, off the back of an injury like this, it's just makes this next 3-4 weeks a whole lot more interesting than they already were. And yeah, I'm not enjoying, but this is why the speculation, I think, or we think, is going to increase. Like, it's obviously sucks, but it's just kind of what direction we think is going to head. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know what's wrong with me. Okay, we've got a few more minutes left, Kyle. Yeah, this is probably the most rattled I've been because they win, and it's just like, I'm trying to think, like, when was the last time the Pistons had an injury, like this, like, or just an injury that's like stopped the game like this, and you're just like, oh, like it just sucks the life out of the whole game.
Maybe not like this in the middle of the game for the Pistons. I'm trying to think. I mean, obviously when Blake went down, like before the playoffs, that was a big blow. Kind of had maybe a similar vibe. Brandon Jennings, that was definitely But I mean, hey, they won. I know it's a bummer. Like we haven't seen what this team can do yet after this. I know Ivy is a big piece of this, but the team could rally around him, right? If depending on how JB puts them together, we could see more Asar, more Ron. Lord willing, we'll see some Bobby. We still got a home stretch here where they can string together some wins and. Maybe if the injury isn't as bad as we think, maybe Ivy's back in time. Like we don't know, and so I don't want to be doom and gloom either. And that's even why too. Like part of what I was saying with the trade stuff is, regardless of that was already something that I've been talking about and think they need to do, right? So it's more of just like I'm curious to see if this pushes them one way or the other because of where it leaves them in the standings. If they go ahead and lose the next 6 games in a row, that might affect some things.
Yeah, no, for sure. Oh man, we can't be doing 6-game losing streaks.
I don't think it's going to happen. For what it's worth, I don't think it's going to happen. They're going to beat Golden State. It's going to happen. That's
Yeah.
market.
Well, they have the Hornets next at home, and then they also have Minnesota on. I think it's Saturday for you guys, Sunday for me. I still think. Like Jaden Ivey, I assume is definitely out first this week. I still think they should beat the Hornets. Like I didn't even check the Hornets where they're in the standings, but I know they're below the Pistons. So I think you still have to have high expectations. They win that game, and then the Wolves will see what happens.
Yeah, they should definitely beat the Hornets. That's always a game I'm like, I have very little confidence that they're going to beat the Hornets. They absolutely should, and they need to, if they want to be taken seriously. But you know how that goes. They'll probably lay a stinker against the Hornets and then somehow beat both the Warriors and the Timberwolves because that's how things go, right?
You know what? You're probably right. Carl, man, any final thoughts before I'll get Alan up here next?
No, man. I'm glad they pulled it out. This would have been triply depressing if they lost Ivy and lost the game. So here's to hoping that the injury is not as bad as we think, and it was all precautionary, and he's back in time for the play-in because I think it's going to happen. So
I agree. So I have one more question. So great. I can see you got, is that a Detroit Lions hat and then Ohio State football jersey?
Yep.
What's going on there? Obviously, I have no allegiance. I don't follow football, but I'm just curious what's going on with this.
The combination, does it seem weird?
Yeah.
I grew up in Toledo, Ohio, which is like right on the border of Michigan and Ohio. And so my dad's family is from Michigan. And so I'm Detroit sports for everything because it was like 45 minutes away. And all the Ohio professional teams were terrible when I was growing up. But I am from Ohio. And so I went to Ohio State. My mom went to Ohio State. My siblings went to Ohio State. So I'm actually a Buckeye, not just a fan. Like I've got the degree. So that's what it is. And I was repping them for the Rose Bowl today, which they whooped some duck tonight. And so
is that
I'm actually surprised, but yeah, they beat up on Oregon like massively. So had to rep, and then the black just matched better than my Pistons. I got this for Christmas.
It goes together nicely. I just realized the clash in teams and states and cities. I'm like, what's going on here? I knew there'd be a real story. All right, Carl, man. Thank you so much for joining. I'm sure you'll be back up here as soon as possible. But tell the people where they can find you and all the great trades you're putting out and conversation you're generating.
Yeah, comments 23 on Blue Sky, on Twitter. I'll be on here for a few more of these, but my wife, my child, and I we're heading to the Middle East here in February for 3 months. And so if you want to hear more about that, message me. I'm not going to share more on this platform, but if you hit me up, if you want to hear more about what we're doing, and if you want to be able to like get newsletters, or if you want to help fund us to get there, hit me up. But it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm super excited. And so yeah, I'll be around for a little bit. I'll be there through the trade deadline. I launched right after the trade deadline. So we'll be here for all of that.
Because we're going to have to do like that. Go watch the trades video we did. I haven't checked the comments lately, but it's a really good conversation. And I think if you have the time, Kyle, we'll definitely do another one of those as we get closer to the deadline. But yeah, thank you so much for joining, man. And guys, go check out everything Kyle's doing.
Peace.
Thanks, man. All right, we're going to get Alan up here in a moment, but I just want to shout out the Luckster. Thank you so much, brother. Or thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate the donation. Like I always say, I don't expect these. Super, super, super grateful, and it means a lot to me, and obviously helps the channel continue to grow. So thank you so much. But the Luckster said, prayers for Ivy. I really hope he's going to be okay. Yeah, we all do. I'm really flat. I'll be honest. JI is one of my favorite players. So, but beyond just how I feel about him, like more just he was playing awesome. Like before that injury, like he's pretty much since he's come back averaging like 20 points, over 50% shooting from field and three. Like he was looking awesome tonight, well on his way to potentially a 30-point game. So absolutely sucks, but hopefully he's back. Hopefully it's just a really bad sprain, and we can see him on the court, as Kyle said, for some playing basketball. But shout out to my man Alan as well. He's going to be up here in just a moment. Absolute legend. Thank you so much for the donation. And as he says here, prayers for Ivy. Rest up, homie. Sasa time. So one of the few silver linings to come out of this is we get to see more Marcus Sasa, who I think has been good in every stint he's got this season. It feels like he makes an impact. So more Marcus Sasa, but yeah, prayers up for Ivy is the theme of today's show. I'm just going to get this link to Alan now, so bear with me, guys. And I promise I'll get to comments as well. I did see, Luke, send me a DM, my friend, if you want to join just on Twitter. Just that's the best way for me to send a link. And also in future, if you want to come up here, just DM me, because sometimes I miss comments. So, but if you want to jump up, Luke, I'd love to have you on. So just shoot me a DM when you get a moment. But yeah, guys, I'll go through some comments here. A lot of stuff about the injury itself. I just hoping for the best. I don't really want to speculate, but I feel like he's going to be out for at least a couple of weeks here. Great shout, Alan. TSJ was really good in the fourth. We just spoke about him. I think he had 10 points in the fourth quarter. So huge from him to step up when they needed him. We're going to bring up Alan now. What's going on, brother?
Oh, a bit of a sad day today, man.
Yeah,
I'm about to head home, and then I was feeling good about the game overall, but this Ivy situation stinks.
Yeah.
What do you do?
I just asked Kyle before, like, I'm trying to think of like the last time we had an injury like this on the Pistons. Like, obviously Cade missed the season, Asar dealt with the blood clots, but like nothing like that on court since, I don't know if someone in the comments said it, but the Brandon Jennings thing was kind of the other one. Like, so yeah, it just sucks. Like I'm trying my best to be positive, like, because it is still like a really good point of the season for the Pistons. But it just sucks. It sucks. No way around it.
There is a positive to it, I reckon, and I think that all of us, we've seen snippets, but I mean, I think Sasa, he's earned that respect in terms of his offense. He pulls away the defense. He freezes other players up. And his defense recently has been amazing, man. Like tonight especially as well, the pressure he puts on at full court is something that you want to see out of someone especially who's not getting much time and is proving to earn it, and now he's going to get that time. So I think we've got a lot to look forward to in the way of seeing Marcus Sasser being at his best, and I think we're going to see some record numbers for him. I think he's going to, show us what he's really made of. So that's a positive.
It is, and I think, I just brought up your comment there about it, because I agree. I think the Pistons, I don't want to talk too much about this, but I think depending on how long JR is out for, I think they're going to have to do something to help with the backcourt to get more ball handling. I don't know what that looks like, but I still think Sasser can help heaps. Like, I liked it when they drafted him. I might not have fully liked how they actually went about getting him in terms of trading into the first round, but him as a player, I've always really liked him. I loved him at Houston, and he's a shot creator, shot maker, and I'm not concerned with him becoming a part of the rotation in the short term, because I think he's mature. He's like 24, I want to say. So I think he has the best handle on the team, like truly.
Sure.
So I think they've got someone there who can definitely step in. So it's a great call from you. Definitely one of the positives. But man, I'll turn it to you. Any other thoughts on the game?
I was super impressed with Duran.
Yeah,
Duran's effort was just really nice to see. I know it's inconsistent, but in nights like tonight where you really need him and the lob is there and it's working, like I think it was last game, Denver, he wasn't really getting those lobs, wasn't being utilized properly. But tonight he was just a monster on both boards and just being rim dominant, I guess. And as well, Stu was just his grit as well. The two of them looked, I think, quite good in terms of defensive effort. But yeah, I mean, I just feel that if Duran can play like that every game, which you would hope, the whole conversation about, him being a trade piece would go out the window, because he really has the talent and it's just a motor. So, whereas you've got Stu, who maybe isn't the lob threat, but his motor's consistent and you can't pass that on him. He's just like the way he shut down Suggs. Do you remember that play where it was before the bell and he shut down Suggs? That, I was just like, that's why we love you, man. Like, that's why Stu is such a good role model for Detroit, or I guess, poster boy for Detroit in terms of like that effort that he gives, and to be able to shut down those much smaller guards is just something that in the NBA is not that common as well for bigs. So we've got a good piece in Stu, and I'm at the start of the season maybe I was a little bit harsh and I kind of wanted to put in a trade, but I really want to keep Stu around because he started here. Why not finish him here?
Yeah, no, his ability to, and it's been a theme, I feel like, definitely since his second season, like his ability to shut down guards when he's switched on to them is like, he's not like the most athletic, but laterally, like he can just slide his feet so well. And like that play you were talking about, I put it up on Instagram, but Cade was clapping. Like, I can't remember what he was saying now, but Cade was like, that's what we effing want. Like, because he could tell Suggs didn't realize that who Stu is as a defender, and Stu locked him up and stuff. So go check that out. But Stu's the type of player. So I always I get like the deficiencies. I get the emotional side of him can cost this team possessions and points, and I fully get why fans get frustrated with him for that stuff. But yeah, something about him and the leadership qualities he brings amongst the young guys in particular, that I wouldn't be surprised if he's still traded at the end of the day, because that type of player is very valuable, I believe, as a backup big. But yeah, I'm with you. Like, obviously, I want to see him around.
Sure. And, the 3-point shot, I mean, doesn't have many reps. It's not, they don't give him the green light very often, but he can make those. So I think, it would be sad to see him go to another team. They give him the green light and him just become, this guy who can knock three-pointers a game down, and with not bad efficiency. So I hope that we do kind of give him a bit more of a green light in that regard, because the play they run at the top, sometimes when Cade's running back and he's got no one on him, no one's respecting his shot. at the top of that 3-point line. So I wouldn't mind seeing him, if that plays, he's been too heavily guarded, that he takes that shot. So, hopefully we see more of that in the future. And by the way, going back to something, Duran's footwork tonight was amazing. Like, I feel like, he's got that there. Maybe it's the self-confidence. He doesn't do it more often, but he's super quick, right? Like the way he moves his feet and in terms of like getting to the basket when he's got his back to the defender. I just feel like like they still have so much untapped potential, the two of them. I just, the way we're gelling, we're going to see it. We're going to see it by the end of the season, a better version of the two of them. I'm confident.
Yeah, great shout on Duran's footwork. I think he had that really nice spin and finish. I think it was in the second or third, and I was like, oh, like I've seen him do that before, and I think I'm with you. It's a confidence thing. Some of it might be like a role, like they've kind of maybe told him not to do that stuff as much, but he is capable of it, and it goes back to like not to be negative, but the frustration with him is it does seem like he can do all these kind of things. But when he plays with the motor like he did tonight and the energy and just the way he rolled to the rim, I thought as well, like Cade will always find you, like on the most part. So I think JD did a great job of just rolling with a purpose and got rewarded. There's some points I was like, "Ooh, what's going on with this Magic defense where JD was just open?" I'm like, this looks like what the Pistons have been doing. But I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting this from because was it last time they played the Magic? Goga absolutely dominated the Pistons. So nice to see JD get one back. But
absolutely.
Can I ask you this? What do you think? Kyle brought it up before. What do you think the JB does with the starting lineup? Because I think it's safe to say Jaden's going to be out for at least a couple of weeks minimum. So
yeah, well, look, I mean, I'm still going to go with I want Beasley in that starting lineup. He deserves it. He's proven again and again that he belongs in that starting lineup. And we don't get much from THJ, so maybe JB just thinks that the energy Malik brings off the benches is better than him starting. Maybe, I don't know, but THJ, I know he gave us that good fourth quarter. But you kind of want some consistency, don't you, through the entire game? So just for momentum's sake. So I'd like to see Beasley. Look, I mean, I am a big fan of Wendell Moore. I don't know if many people are, but I think the times that we have seen him on the court and what he's provided this team has been both good on the defense and both good on the offensive end. So I would like to see someone else come to, and then Wendell Moore off the bench get some more minutes, because I think that with his size, he actually doesn't have a bad handle and his effort's there. It's just, because we're kind of stacked in terms of the vet presence, so he hasn't got that shot. But with Ivy out, maybe we get Cade and Sasser along each other for the start. And then, Beasley, Tobias and Duran would be what I would like to see. But that, we're kind of playing fantasy here. It's really, but I think Sasser should get a start, to be honest, and just for experimental sake, just to see how he fares with Cade. Because there was a moment there tonight, and Cade wasn't on the floor, but Sasser was basically the point guard with the starting five in that fourth, and they looked amazing. When it was, I think Beasley, they had THJ as well, actually, Tobias and Duran. That looked great. I mean, the defense was there. And then in terms of offense, we had so many options with that lineup there. So it's interesting. We've got a lot of different kind of lineups we could mix and match that could work. But I want to see Cade, Sasser, Beasley, Tobias, Duran. That's what I want to see. What about yourself?
No, I can see it. I think what would I like to see? I think I would like to see Beasley. I agree with you. I think he's definitely deserving of a starting spot, especially obviously in light of the injury. I think my only concern is with Sasser and Beasley, the 2 and 3s, you're a bit small. And I think Sasser is I rate him as a defender. I just think he's a touch undersized. But I could see them closing games if he has it going. But in terms of my starting lineup, I think I would go it would go Cade, Beasley, Asar, Tobias, Duran. And like I know people can say with the floor spacing, I have been big on. I don't believe Asar and Duran can play big minutes together long term, but I think, and I know Asar struggled to pass tonight, but the way the defense he can bring, the rebounding he can bring, and I just love him in transition. I feel like he creates, like when he is on the fast break, whether he has the ball or not, I don't care. It's an automatic 2 points because they're going to find him for a lot. Like, yeah, it's just, I think that, and Kyra brought this up, like that is so valuable because obviously floor spacing is, but for offense, getting easy points, like I feel like sometimes his team struggles to convert in transition because they are Ron and Asar are like, I think those two are really good at finishing in transition, but the rest of the team is a bit hit and miss. Like even Ivy, I think one of the next things for him is proving his finishing when there's someone guarding him, like in traffic. But sorry, that's a long-winded way of just explaining my starting five.
No, I agree with everything you just said.
Yeah. But
100%.
I probably JB's just going to put Beasley in for Ivy the next few games.
Yeah.
What do you think JB
it's probably going to be that. Yeah. He doesn't, I'm not saying he's not flexible, but he's not flexible. Do you know what I mean? Like he's pretty keen to stay with that lineup, and it's been working for what they want. They don't want too many wins. They don't want too many losses. Trajan's, I bet, over the moon about where we are right now, in terms of, Kyle saying that we're ninth now. This is the perfect trajectory for what I bet he wanted. Because, like we said, he had the season, he said, don't expect anything amazing, but we're going to be better. And we certainly are. And, we're watching winning basketball more often than losing now. I mean, like you said, we're 6 of 8.
Yeah. Only lost to the Nuggets and the Jazz. Like, I mean, yeah, it's awesome.
It's incredible. I mean, right now it's a treat from what we're used to. So I'm happy. Like even, there was a big discussion in the comments about what we kind of can do to make up for Ivy's absence with like a quick trade or something like that. I don't think we even need to do it. I think we have untapped potential in Sasa that we need to kind of look at. We've still got a month before the trade deadline, so we've got plenty of time. We've got a couple games that we can actually have a look and just dissect what's going on. So we're in a very good spot, and we don't necessarily have to give up big things to get a player that's going to make up for the absence. Sure, I'd love a star, but I don't want to pull the trigger on something that could be detrimental to our cap space. Do you know what I mean? With someone that we think is going to be very helpful, but is getting injured after a few games. So I think the health of this team has been good enough for us to kind of keep going in for maybe a week or two before we need to make any decisions like that.
Definitely. No, I like, it's such a fine line. Like I get why fans want like Levine and Ingram. I probably sway more to making that sort of move. But I fully understand why everyone's like, no, be patient, wait till the off season, because there's pros and cons for either side.
Yeah.
But I just want to quickly, I got another question for you. I just want to quickly shout out Nuggies, because I think this is an awesome start. It's crazy that we are
some good stats up.
Yeah, shout out to Nuggies. This is an awesome one. It's crazy that we are 10-3 when Jalen Duren gets 10 plus rebounds. So I think that's a reflection of when he's playing enough minutes and his motor. Because if he's not playing enough minutes, because he's an easy 10 rebounds if he's playing 28 minutes or more. It's when he's playing less than 28 minutes and his motor's not there. It's like, look at the win-loss. When JD's locked in and crashing boards, like, great start from Nuggies. Like, because he was locked in tonight. But I want to ask you, Alan, like, we kind of just touched on it there. Pistons in the 9th seed, 15-18, 6-8 in their last 8 games with a 4-game Western road trip in there, which I don't think anyone expected them to go 3-1.
No, I did not.
I can't remember the last time we chatted, but I know it was in the last week or week and a half. How are you feeling about the team's direction now?
I love it. I love it. Everything. I didn't expect a huge jump. I didn't expect us to be the same. So it's right where I wanted it to be, because right now as well, we're doing it steadily. We're getting the fans reinvested in this team. And, you can see it's such a clear progression that we've made. And because it's so clear, I mean, we can make these easy changes to this roster to get to that next level. I think, it's we've got a clear vision now, and we don't need to change too much to make the next jump. I mean, this team just gels better and better. I mean, of course, we have those games where we weirdly lose to teams we shouldn't, but that's going to happen, and I know you were talking with Kyle about our next coming game. So we got Timberwolves and we got Charlotte next at home, right?
Yeah.
I personally, I know we all probably think, like historically, we're probably below the game to Hornets, but I think that's a game we can win. And I think it's an easier game than the Timberwolves for us to win as well. So if we get this next game under our belt with Hornets, we can go into the Timberwolves a lot more confidence. And instead of coming off a loss, I'd like to see us go win both those games. And I think we definitely can. We'll have Tech back as well. That's another thing. So I think he's just off for whatever. Maybe it's New Year, family reasons or something like that. But having Tech as well, we can't forget about him. He's been playing really well. So I think, but I don't know if we're going to see Clintman for a couple games.
I know, man. I was saying to Kyle, I was like, that Denver game was where he got some burn, but he was with the Crews, playing well with the Crews, 25 points, 6 balls, I think 4 assists. Admittedly, I didn't actually watch the game, just his highlights. But
okay.
Did you watch it?
I did.
Okay. Do you have any? Yeah, give us an update.
So he plays very well, and I'm just more concerned about, so with the defense in the G League, probably most of us know it is definitely not at anywhere near what the NBA is. So Bobby was getting a lot of easy drives, a lot of easy buckets, right? That he would probably more so struggle to get in the NBA. His body looks better. He's put on a little bit of weight, which is nice, I feel. But he still needs more size on him. And but yeah, we need that. We need that stretch ability that he's got as well. And in the G League, he's been passing really well. Still, it wasn't just a fluke in summer league. It's still solidified as a skill that he has. So awesome, I think so let's say we're up by 15-20 fourth quarter against the Hornets. Bring him in, JB. Give him a run.
I have never seen. I don't know if there's like a bit of a Swedish fan base behind him, but Bobby, he's a fun player, and what he did at Summer League, I think, caught everyone by surprise. But I've never seen the fan base so excited about a second round pick. I know that people do get excited about second round picks, but just on the whole, you post or talk about Bobby Clinton, people love it. So I'd be surprised if he gets some sort of ovation when he checks in if it's at home. So everyone just can't wait to see.
And especially as well for you and I seeing him in the NBL and you covering him, man, it's especially personal for, Australians who are fans of Detroit because we watched him come up through the NBL. And the jump that he's made from the NBL to even just seeing him in the Summer League or the G League is exponential. So I'm really keen to see him get some NBA minutes, and we just need a blowout game. We can do it. We can just hit 90% of our shots. We'll do it, man. Zero turnovers.
Likely, but everything went to crap there. But yeah, Bobby, the passing. I've said this a million times. I just didn't see. Maybe I wasn't watching the Cairns games closely enough, even though I watched that many. I just didn't know he could pass like this. So it's honestly that's such a good, surprising skill for him to have at that position, because the shooting is what's going to make his career, but the passing is also just huge. So I'm glad that that's continuing in the G League.
Yeah, he's getting some really nice. I just, I know that Asar makes up for his offense with his defense, and he did. He had 4 turnovers, and someone mentioned he had 4 steals. So it kind of evens that out. And his fast break is incredible. And the guy spends an hour in the air before he touches the rim, which is ridiculous. But the shot to me doesn't look better. I'm going to be real, just honest. It doesn't look like it's got better. And the passing, I'm not worried about that. I actually think he's a better passer than he was tonight. You have those games. But the shooting, not so good.
Free throws as well is just that's the one too that's like so
He
like
needs to hit them. He's going
yeah,
to the basket, man.
he needs the free throw, like 3-point shot, yes, needs to improve, but the free throws, like 0 of 2 tonight, like it just can't.
Damn.
That hurts the most because like you said, he can get to the rim, like, and teams obviously know he can't. He struggles to shoot. So, but like I never expected his jumper to come in this season. And I'm not saying you're saying this, by the way, but I never expected him to come in and shoot like 36% from three. I still thought his percentages might look the same, but the form will be different. But
Yeah.
look, I don't. The corner threes, I'm actually fine with him taking those. Above
They're
the
fine.
break,
Yeah.
I'm not that keen on those right now, unless they're up by like 18 plus or like it's a, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of like
Yeah.
it's like I think the second three he took tonight, or one of them was above the break, and I was like,
Oh, that was terrible.
You just don't feel like they always look short. And corners I'm okay with though, but yeah, I haven't looked at the percentages, but I'm guessing it's probably similar to what it was last year.
I'd like to see him do more of the because I don't know why he doesn't do it more, but he's quite successful with his mid range, and he gets so high in the air, no one is blocking him, and he's very off balance when he hits these. Like he can stay in the air and correct his shot while he's up there. I want to see him do more of the mid range. Forget about the three. Just go to where you're comfortable because he's consistent on those middies.
I'll back you up on that. So just so to cut you off, you're spot on. Like last season, he started doing that a fair bit in the new year or start of 2024, whatever. And he was like shooting like nearly 50% on those. Like I went and you can find stats for it. And he was like, I call it like his unguardable shot. Cause like you said, like he gets so high and it looks kind of smooth, but it's also like that looks way too tough to hit consistently. But he actually is genuinely consistent at it. Like, and not just for like a bad shoot, like for league average, like he's really good at that shot. So I'm with you, like more of that dribble drive, get into the paint.
Yeah, I don't, like obviously repetition at three is great and all, but he's obviously got to just pick it at the times in the game, especially third quarters, man. I don't know why, but third quarters are always our hardest quarter. Maybe because the other teams are, putting the pressure on, making the resurgence coming into the fourth. But, those third quarter decisions that he's making, I'd just like him to be a little bit more wiser to it. He's young, obviously. He can't be too harsh, but, just pass it off to someone who's more capable or just make the dribble and get to a spot where you're more comfortable, And he is a high IQ player at the end of the day. So, and he's got the work ethic. So he just needs to make some small adjustments and just keep doing those corner threes because they're pretty good. They look fine. And no one's respecting him on them.
Yeah. And I think that's going to be the shot. Obviously, we hope he can shoot threes from everywhere, but that's the most likely shot he's going to become aficionado or league average at. So I'm fine with him shooting those, but yeah, the others are not so sure for now. Prove me wrong, though.
That's it. Prove us wrong, and I'm sure he will when time goes by. But what are your predictions for the next two games, Jackie?
I reckon coming into the week, I don't think I actually posted my normal episode. A bit lazy of me, but I thought the Charlotte game, win that, please. Like that was must win. Like you could have gotten both of those games in Charlotte. You should have won at least one. Like you're better than the Hornets, even without Jaden. I believe they're better than the Hornets. They win that. So I think they win that, and then they probably lose to Timberwolves. If I'm being honest, I just feel like Ant could come in. Like I haven't checked in on the Timberwolves lately, but I know their season's been up and down. But I just kind of feel like they're due for maybe a loss. Hopefully, I could see them winning both though. And like you said, the team we're seeing this season probably loses to Charlotte and beats Minnesota. So, but yeah, prediction: and the Hornets lose to the Wolves.
I kind of agree. That's how I think it will go. But in saying that, Timberwolves failing, and it's because of I just had a mind blank. Goodness me. Who'd they just pick up from the Knicks?
DiVincenzo and Randall?
No, Randall. So Randall is not fitting with the Timberwolves at all. Like, I mean, I watched the game yesterday and it was just like, yeah, it's like Randall's trying to manage the team as well as Edwards. It's kind of weird. And, Randall wants to dribble up the court. It's bizarre, man. So hopefully they're in shambles against us and we can take advantage of it.
Yeah, I agree. That's the blueprint for them winning. I feel like Randall, though, when he's on the Knicks, anytime he plays in Detroit especially, just goes off. So hopefully that trend ends. But yeah, I think they go 1-1, and I think 2-1 for the week. That's awesome result.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy with that.
Any final thoughts, man, before I let you go? The mic is yours.
Play in, let's go. Look, hopefully Ivy's back within the month and it's just something that's not too serious that can be mended, but I'm not going to, let's not say anything unless we know. So, but apart from that, good game and on to the next. And thanks for having me up, Jack. Always appreciate it.
And are you still on holiday? I feel like it's the same background.
Heading back into the city in 2 days. So, yeah, making the most of it in Lounge Town.
Enjoy, mate. The sun looks good behind you. I'm jealous.
Not bad. Not bad.
All right, mate. Good to chat, and we'll have you back up here whenever you're free, man. Thank you.
Appreciate it, brother. I'll speak to you soon.
You too, man. Bye.
Catch ya. Peace.
All right. What a man. Alan and Kyle, thank you for joining us. Always a pleasure to have those two on. Just going to do one more check of my DMs, make sure. I saw Luke obviously message in the chat here, but he hasn't sent me a DM, so I'm not able to drop him a link. I'm going to scan through some comments here, guys. I'm still all the way up at comments from like an hour ago, so just bear with me while I scroll through. But we've got the usuals in here, Nuggies with the stats, Pistons next, a lot of stuff about trades in here. BC Arrow, Jack, you may be on the wrong microphone. I think it should be on the right one. Maybe my voice is a bit off. I think I was probably just a bit down when I was at that point of the episode. Great chat here from YouTube user. Maybe we see some Dennis Jenkins. Obviously, it was a lot of fun at the Summer League. Two-way player for the Pistons. I'm not saying he's in the regular rotation, but at least in the short term, I feel like he might be active on the roster. So if there's a blowout or a big Pistons winner, I could see him getting some minutes. Athletic kind of guard who, like I said, he had a couple of 20-point games at Summer League and looked promising. What else have we got here, guys? There, 99, as Alan just pointed out. So I did have 4 steals to go, 4 turnovers. So you love to see him make up for those mistakes. So that's the thing with the style. Like Alan said, though, I'm not worried about his passing. He just had some. I think honestly, I'm not just saying this because he was obviously really emotional on the bench, but the way he was playing post that injury seemed like he might have been affected the most by it. So yeah, that as well as maybe just a bit of an off game is all that was from him, but still always get that great defense from Asar. YouTube user, I hate being on this team from a fit standpoint. Yeah, look, there's definitely some. It's not a perfect fit between him and Cade, but it's a fit I'd be open to see if it works. Ivey and Cade long term, I'm not 100% sure on, but I think there's a world it can work with like staggering and Ivey being the shooter he's become and Cade being the shooter he's become. But yeah, it's not a fit. It's not a perfect fit. I think Levine's a much better fit on offense for sure in terms of seamlessly sliding into what the Pistons already do. What else do we have here? Yeah. Pathfinder says, I'm not fond of Levine, but his contract is only 1 year longer than Tobias. Unless we can chase a free agent this summer, having him play 50 games a year into it will add draft picks for a trade. Yeah, I assume you're saying this in a good way about having Levine, because that's the thing, his contract, it is big, but it's not like for a team like the Pistons, I think it doesn't really doom you as much as it might have last season when you made the trade, or the season, if you would do it the season before, but you wouldn't. But 2 more years, for I think around mid-40s, and then maybe gets to 50 million. Correct me if I'm wrong. So he's going to pick up that player option. But I think as well, like Kyle said, after this summer, the Pistons cap sheet is kind of, you want it to be tied up because you would hope they've extended definitely one of Ivy or Duran. And you're going to have Cade's extension. So if they still have cap space in 2 summers' time, that would mean that none of these players are worth extending outside of Cade, which isn't a great kind of spot to be in. It means you're still probably a mediocre team. And I think by getting Levine, as Kuka Hill said on Locked On Pistons, like he can be the bridge. Like just because they trade for Levine doesn't mean they're going to extend him. That he could come in, help the Pistons get to the play-in, maybe the playoffs this season, or even next season. He could be on the Pistons and they're like top 8 team definitely in the East, maybe pushing for the 6th seed, and like you might be able to flip him for something to a different contender and get something back for him. And just having that contract, I still think is of some value. Obviously, with him and Tobias, I can see why having those two on that kind of money is a little bit of a concern. But Tobias only has 1 more year after this one, so I think if he becomes an expiring next season, so that could help alleviate some of that salary cap pressure. Lots of stuff. Prayers for Ivy, 100%. Yeah, just sucks to see. Sucks to see. I haven't checked Twitter to see if there's any injury updates on him. So we will see what happens there. Just going to scroll down to the bottom here. What have we got? Nagi says, Ron and Asar are always pleasant to watch. Those minutes are always fun. As long as the teams... The only time I want to see those minutes is when the Pistons are either up by like close to 10 points or they're trailing by like 10 points and need an injection of energy, because the spacing obviously is tough with those two. But yeah, them in transition is so much fun, and they just create deflections and steals and are just a pest for the opposing offense with them. And they're just a fun duo with plenty of potential on the defensive end for sure. I love this from Beastly Arrow. So a couple of stats here on Ron. So I assume this is 76% at the rim in the month of December, because you also said Ron shot 43% from 3 in December. So yes, it's on low volume, but Ron, that's been one of the things I've loved with Ron. And I have to check how many minutes he played tonight, but his ability to just play within himself and his awareness and decision making overall has improved so much this season. Like as the season's gone on, tonight only played 10 minutes with a couple of points, but I feel like there was games where he would have he'd be 1 of 5 and 3 turnovers, just because he was rushing things and forcing things. Whereas now, plays so much more in control, and he's still probably gonna have a bad shot a game or a turnover, but I think he has figured out his role on the team and has gotten a lot better at playing within it and impacting winning. So great stats from Beastly Arrow. So thank you for those. Oh, wow. So 76% on the season. There you go. That was one of the questions for Ron was, yes, he can get to the rim, but can he finish as a rookie? So, wow, that's huge. 76%. That's a massive improvement. I have to make a video on that or something. That's massive. That's really good for Ron. So thank you, Beastly Arrow. What else do we have? I think that's going to do it, guys. I think it's going to do it. Yeah, like I said, the team is 15 and 18 on the season. They sit 9th in the East. I think they're a playing team. Even with this injury to Jaden, I think they can for sure still remain in that play-in race. And it's going to be very interesting to see how they manage things going forward. But I think to end the show, one last time, it's just wish the best for Jaden Ivey, hoping the best for the injury update. No matter what it is, though, I think he's definitely a player who will bounce back. And hopefully we see him this season. But if not, he'll definitely be fit and firing for next season. So bit of a bummer today, guys, but they did win. So go and enjoy the win. Thank you so much for tuning in. One of the biggest streams today. Once again, you guys, your support has been incredible. So we'll be back for the Hornets game in a couple of days. But until then, as always, go Pistons.